This comes to us from Pirate Nation, who apparently found a new payment method. DLsite offers a new payment method as an alternative to credit cards. DLsite introduced bank direct payments via Minna no Ginko to bypass Visa Mastercard censorship of adult Doujin content following 2024 suspensions that led to region locks and service halts. So I think capitalists would like this idea. If this works well, it should become the new norm. Fuck Visa and MasterCard, which I would agree with wholeheartedly. So I did some research on this DL site and whatever the heck it is, because I wasn't familiar with it. This is the website, the largest selection in Japan with over 1.7 million registered works. Choose DLsite for Doujin Nishi, Doujin games, Doujin audio, and ASMR. And I'm definitely not going to be scrolling around this website because I'm on YouTube. But this is the website that apparently found a workaround from Visa and MasterCard. And that was through this Minna no Ginko. Minna no Bank, digital banking, all done with your smartphone. Money of Transform, a banking app with a variety of functions that can be everything, can be done on smartphone, making your daily life simpler. And again, all in Japanese, but still a very big deal and something that I want to draw attention to. We have Z Karishi. This is a guy I've covered multiple times in the past. He says, DLsite, a major Japanese content site that has had payments suspended by credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, has launched a new payment method that does not rely on these credit card companies. While, quote unquote, diversifying payment methods may seem unimpressive at first glance, it is a fundamental solution to the current censorship by credit card companies. Their overwhelming market share allows credit card companies to engage in unreasonable and extra legal censorship. I've pointed out that this may constitute an abuse of dominant bargaining position, which is prohibited by the Japanese government. Unfortunately, the Japan Fair Trade Commission currently believes that this does not constitute such an action. To protect the quote unquote freedom of expression of content, it is also important for users to consciously choose different payment methods and express their intentions to companies. Let's continue to work on this issue. You know what's really curious about this situation before I even go further? Ironically, prawn and adult type content always seems to be the epicenter for birthing new forms of competition in the market, we'll say, every single time. And this is the crack where it gets through. And I could see this becoming a thing where people start using the Minna no Ginko Bank to purchase items on DLsite. And then other companies joining in as well and being like, oh, your bank charges less of a percent? Yeah, we'll accept them too. Why wouldn't we? They charge less of a percent than the 3% or whatever that American Express or Visa and MasterCard, whatever they're charging. If it's like a 0.5% or less than that, of course they're going to accept it. Be like, sure, it's money's money. We'd like to have less taken away from us. So sure, we're down for that. Madam Savvy quote tweets, and she says, the worst thing a service can do to themselves is inspire competition. Visa and MasterCard and payment processors really think people won't come up with solutions. We don't need them. We just need to encourage companies not to sell out and actually stick around to become more than what they could be bought early for. And I know this is, like I said, just starting off in Japan, but still an option that wasn't available before for at least people in Japan. I don't think this extends beyond that yet, but I could totally see this becoming in time massive competition if it doesn't get bought out by Visa, MasterCard and throttled and completely shut down. Or if the Visa, MasterCard mafia doesn't pay them a visit and knock on their door and say, hey, you want to buy our insurance, or else there might be some problems around here. Emerald Apple said, we already have tools for seamless transactions like USD to Ethereum to Japanese yen, but there are so many international regulations that this ends up not being so seamless. It's insane that we have to go through a third party to buy something instead of direct peer-to-peer payment. It absolutely is. In 2025, there's so many regulations for payment because they always claim, oh, it's because they're worried about money laundering or they're worried about taxes. Really, it's a form of control. They want to see what money's coming in and what money's going out. That is what Visa and MasterCard gets for licking activism's ass. Hee-haw. Imagine being a total monopoly that everyone isn't even upset about and just deciding to upset people and throw away your market share for some virtue signaling. Welcome again to the World Economic Forum. First time. I already used DLsite with third-party platforms. In the end, it's still Visa, MasterCard processing my payments for smut. So much for their brand protection. I mean, again, I don't know. Doesn't sound like that's what it is, at least from them when they're talking about it here. But hey, okay. In a weird way, doesn't it? Interesting how everything seems to funnel down to Visa, MasterCard. No matter where you go, what direction you dig, it always ends up with Visa, MasterCard. The good news is that online payments and people switching to smartphones to the point of not needing plastic cards undercuts much of what makes Visa, MasterCard a monopoly. And there are competing services popping up, not just in Japan. The problem is that they're very expensive to go global. It's a really good point. I know Apple is trying to do like the Apple Pay and the Apple credit card, but I do believe it's still based with a Visa, MasterCard as the processor for it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But then the other one that comes to mind that I know has been brought up a bunch of times by people is, and even Elon Musk himself has talked about how Elon Musk is planning a payment system and being able to do the heavy lifting of payment processing. The payments isn't the issue when it comes to this. Anyone can be a payment situation. It's who's the back end crediting it and the payment processing, okaying it all, who's trusting the money behind the scenes. And that's where Visa, MasterCard has the monopoly. And that's why it's really hard to undercut that. That's why everything always seems to go back to Visa, MasterCard. We need the government to regulate MasterCard Visa for running up a de facto monopoly. They're colluding to shut down legitimate legal businesses around the world. Break them up, fine them for monopolistic practices. Isn't it curious, by the way? I've talked about this before many times, how many monopolies seem to be allowed to be monopolies for the sole reason of no one's going to break them up. Almost like there's money behind the scenes allowing them to do the things that they're doing, and they're just getting paid off. The government's getting paid off enough to not do anything to stop them. It certainly feels like that, at least when you start digging into how some monopolies exist and others don't. And in a weird way, that kind of brings me to the Microsoft buying Bethesda initially, and then Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, and then the FTC coming in trying to stop it, and then it gets approved anyways. And then allegedly the judge's son worked at Microsoft, and you're like, wait a second. It feels like there's some sort of coordination behind the scenes here that's allowing these things to happen. It's very strange. Very strange. I've been waiting for an alternative for so long. Thanks to that DLsite now excites Indonesian payment processor, so can buy dojins or anything else. They're using my local currency, something that was a dream years back. They even support my language. Oh, shit. So it's not just for Japan. That's fascinating. I was thinking this is something that's strictly to Japan. Hopefully they put more of a safer stuff on Steam. Hold on a second. They have a Steam site as well. DLsite announcements. DLsite joins autumn sale. Come in. This is, wow. This DLsite is much bigger than I imagined it being. This is impressive. I guess we'll end it on this. I will say Visa and MasterCard should probably take note of what's happening right now, because even if this is not the successful thing that breaks through, It's showcasing to other people avenues of how to do it, a pathway forward without Visa and MasterCard. And that alone should scare the ever-loving shit out of those companies, because they can stop one, they can stop two. Hell, they're big enough, they can buy out 30 or 40, but they can't stop thousands of these. And that's where it's going to get really interesting. But I will leave that one there.